It's messy. Oh, it's messy. If you like mess, this might be for you. Hello peoples and popples, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Fiction&Flora. You can call me Flora. And today I will be giving you some quick bite thriller reviews. Each of these thriller reviews is going to be 5 minutes or less and broken up into 3 parts. I will give you the summary as best as I can tell, the cons, and then the pros. I'm breaking it up that way so that we always end up on a good note. I'm also going to be giving it to you in list form from my worst rated to best rated of each of these books, again, so we can end on a good note. I have been trying to include the cover artists and cover designers in each of my videos thus far, but unfortunately, since I don't own any of these books, I can't like look on the covers to find out. So instead, I will go on a hunt and see if I can find them easily on the internet and put them in the description box. If they're not there, that means I just haven't found it. And without any further ado, let's go on into it. Starting off with my lowest rated of these books is The Wife Between Us at 2 stars. This book is written by Greer, Hendrix, and Sarah Pekkanen, so it's a duo. It follows a woman who is recently divorced, and she is really down on her luck. She has been drinking quite a bit. She is in a dead-end job after not working for many, many years. She is living with her aunt. Her mental health is not great, and she is now following her recent ex-husband's new fiance. A lot's going on in her life, and when we're introduced to her, like I said, she is not doing well, and she is following around her ex-husband's new fiance around town. She's keeping up with her, and you're just like, why are we here? So, and then we go from there. We are following her as she uncovers a lot, as we, the readers, uncover a lot of things, and also as we find out a little bit more about her past, both with him and before she met him. Cons of this book. The unreliable narrator thing they do here, not great. Not my favorite. I think there's a lot of different ways you can make this work, but I just don't think this was done well. Second, the characters make very irrational decisions, and you think like in the moment decisions, sure, trauma decisions, perfectly fine, understandable. However, some of these decisions they make are on years, and they're played off as if they're galaxy brained ideas. So I don't understand. It's not good. I did not like it. And last but not least, that ending was not good. I hated the ending. The ending felt like such a cheap. It felt so cheap. Like, it connected to things in the book, but it connected out of left field. It was horrible. And I'm not just the only one who thought that. Also, I shared it with 2 of my friends and one of their mothers. So 3 other people were also just like, what did I just read? But the positives are, in like contrast, the rest of that book has some really fun and really well executed twists. So if you are someone who really likes twists in your book where they really enhance things for you, you might like this book a lot. Like, it is separated into 3 separate parts, and then each part has 2 timelines and a major twist at the end of each part. So if you like twists, you are set. Next is messy. Oh, it's messy. If you like mess, this might be for you. If you want drama, if you want convoluted, I've got you set in this book. And last but not least, it's really fast paced. I personally didn't like it. I was ready to DNF it many times, but I am stubborn sometimes. And I got through it really quickly. I finished it in a single day. So honestly, if you just want to try it out, you can get through it very quickly. I think there's also an audiobook for it. I don't know if I'd recommend it, but I wouldn't say it's a waste of your time if you did read it. The next book at 2.5 stars is The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James. This book follows a true crime blogger as she encounters and interviews a woman who was suspected of the murder of 3 men like 20 years prior. And we're with her as she interviews this woman over the course of several months, uncovers what truly happened during that time, as well as kind of the mess surrounding the trial, and secrets are discovered. There's a little bit of paranormal influences thrown in there as well. Cons, there was too little focus on the victims, in my personal opinion, and it's one of the things that I have a problem with true crime, pop culture true crime as well. There's not enough focus put on the victims or the victims' families. They are just fodder for this blogger. They are fodder for the narrative. They just, like, I don't think I found out their names, or if I did find out, they were mentioned like once at the beginning and like a few times at the end. They were not really seen as, they were not really treated as victims. And of course, this is not a this isn't a true story. However, because it's true crime, I'm treating it as if I'm in the world of this universe. I just don't think it's good. But, you know. The next one is that the main character, again, very irrational. And I think this is the problem I have with a lot of thrillers. They're predicated on the idea that the main character doesn't think. It seemed especially out of place here because the narrator is a true crime blogger. Everyone I know who's deeply into true crime overthinks things. They think too much about stuff and about the dangers that are in the world. So the idea that you have this main character whose entire like online career, she has a normal job, but her online career and like her online presence is surrounding investigating these crimes, but she doesn't think through anything. She doesn't like connect the dots. She doesn't think about all the things that ways this could go wrong. She doesn't take safety precautions. It just didn't feel right for some reason. It felt a little insulting. The next one is that it wasn't paranormal enough. That's a B thing. I wanted it to be more paranormal. They tell you in the synopsis that there's a sprinkling, and I should have expected that, but I just feel like we could have got a little bit more. And we have some pros now. So I think all of the characters were incredibly distinct. The characters who like talked. Obviously, like I said, the victims weren't treated in a way that I felt would have been well done, but the people who were like at the center of our story were distinct people who you knew who they were, you knew what their motivations were, like their voices were distinct within this book, and I think that was done really, really well. And also I was pretty appreciative of the atmosphere. It was my favorite, but I did like it in that, like, the house, A+. And then the true crime part. If you are a true crime fan and you read this, you might enjoy that true crime fan rep. I think that her enthusiasm is something that I have seen in many people. That is the Book of Cold Case. Last but not least, we have The Night Shift by Alex Finlay, and this one I gave a solid 3.5. It's almost a 4-star for me, which, hey, very exciting. This book follows a woman who was the lone survivor of a murder spree during the 1980s at a Blockbuster, I think it was. And then we are fast forwarded 10-20 years into the future, and a similar incident has happened, and she is called in to talk to the victim. And so we're basically following her, the newer victim, and everyone else surrounding this case as they figure out what really went on. There are actually 3 point of views in this book. There is the first final girl, there is the FBI agent who came out to investigate, and then there is the brother of the original suspect. These 3 are all our different points of view, and we are following throughout the story as we uncover what truly happened both now and in previous decades. And that is as good as I can get. So, cons for this book. Like the others, everyone was fucking illogical. No one thought through anything at all. And like, okay, I understand that the newest victim and the original victim, they are dealing with a lot of first-hand trauma concerning this. So, sure. But then the other 2 characters, one's a lawyer and the other is an FBI agent, and they don't think through anything. This is your job. The US criminal justice system is a mess. Anyway, so everyone's just making really illogical decisions and nothing's really fitting together well, but whatever. It might be your cup of tea. Next, there were too many characters. And I mean, outside of our main 3, there were so many characters to keep track of. Goodness gracious. I honestly, I stopped caring about so many of these people. Next con is that it just wrapped up a little too quickly, a little too neatly. Like, we get the killer, and then there were a lot of threads introduced in the first few chapters, in the first half of the book, and then after we catch the killer, those threads are still dangling, and they wrap them up just neat as package at the end. I personally not really a fan of that particular ending. I think that if they could have taken out some of those plot lines, or they could have fleshed them out. I understand that would have bloated the book a little bit, but like, that's your choice when you decide to introduce 5 different storylines that aren't the main one. And then the last one that I have is that the killer was a little too predictable, and I don't know if that's because I read a lot of horror. I don't know if it's because I'm annoying and watch too much horror, but I knew who the killer was the entire way through. Again, this might be a personal thing, but I did not like that it was so obvious to me. Next, on to our pros. It had great atmosphere. I liked the atmosphere of this book. I really liked the way this story was told. And next, it is also twisty. And I think that this connects with my next pro. There are a decent amount of red herrings. Again, I don't know, as someone who doesn't read thrillers, if they're good red herrings, but there's a decent amount of them. I noticed them, I saw what they were doing, they were almost convincing, and if I didn't already have it set in my mind who the killer was, I might have been convinced. So I think that if you like twists, if you like red herrings in books, if you like when the book tries to convince you that you're wrong, you might really enjoy The Night Shift. So those are my 3 quick bite thriller reviews. I hope you had a good time. Do you agree with any of these? Do you disagree? Are you interested in any of them? Do you have any thriller recs? Because I'm trying to get into them more. Let me know. Anyway, you can reach me on all my social media at Fiction&Flora. I am on Twitter, Instagram, Readerly, Storygraph, and Goodreads. And I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.